in our hearts as we move deeper into the unfolding drama. The air is thick with anticipation, for the next chapter in Elijah's life is not merely a tale of confrontation, but a profound exploration of faith under fire, of standing alone when the world seems arrayed against you, and of the relentless pursuit of truth in the face of overwhelming odds. Imagine the land of Israel, parched and desperate after years of drought. The rivers have shrunk to mere trickles, the fields are barren, and the people's hope is as dry as the cracked earth beneath their feet. In this landscape of despair, Elijah receives a new command from God. It is time to confront the source of Israel's suffering, to stand before King Ahab once more and demand a reckoning. Picture the tension as Elijah, the most wanted man in the kingdom, approaches the palace. Ahab's anger is palpable, his words sharp. "Is it you, you troubler of Israel?" But Elijah, unwavering, returns the accusation. "I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, because you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and followed the Baals." In this exchange, we see the courage that comes from conviction, a willingness to speak truth to power, regardless of the cost. Elijah then issues a challenge that will echo through the ages: summon all Israel to Mount Carmel, along with the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Ashit who eat at Jezebel's table. The stage is set for a confrontation unlike any other solitary prophet against a multitude of false priests. A contest not of strength, but of faith, as the people gather on the slopes of Mount Carmel. Elijah's voice rings out, "How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him, but if Baal, completely. But the story does not end in despair. As Elijah sleeps, an angel touches him and says, "Arise and eat." He looks, and there by his head is a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. He eats and drinks, then lies down again. A second time, the angel returns, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." Strengthened by this heavenly provision, Elijah travels 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. This journey is rich with symbolism. 40 days and nights recall the great journeys of Moses and the Israelites, the time of testing and preparation in the wilderness. It is a period of stripping away, of confronting the deepest fears and questions that lie within. Elijah's trek to Horeb is not just a physical journey, but a spiritual pilgrimage, a search for meaning, for reassurance, for the presence of God in the midst of confusion. When Elijah arrives at Horeb, he finds a cave and spends the night. There, the word of the Lord comes to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" The question is gentle, yet piercing. It invites Elijah to name his pain, to articulate his sense of isolation and failure. "I have been very zealous for the Lord, the God of hosts." Elijah replies, "For the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. I alone am left, and they seek my life too. Take it away." God's response is not a rebuke, but an invitation. Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord. What follows is one of the most profound moments in all of Scripture. A great and powerful wind tears the mountains apart and shatters the rocks. But the Lord is not in the wind. After the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord is not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord is not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a gentle whisper. Elijah covers his face with his cloak and steps out to the entrance of the cave. In the stillness, God speaks, not in the spectacle of wind, earthquake, or fire, but in the quietness of a whisper. This is a turning point, a revelation that the presence of God is not always found in the dramatic or the extraordinary, but in the gentle, persistent voice that calls us in the silence. The lesson here is profound. We often look for God in the grand gestures, the miracles, the moments of undeniable power. But more often, God meets us in the quiet places, in the solitude of our hearts, in the stillness after the storm, in the gentle whisper that reminds us we are not alone. The psalmist writes, "Be still and know that I am God." In the stillness, Elijah finds what he most needs, not answers to every question, but the assurance of God's presence. God then gives Elijah a new commission. "Go back the way you came," he says, and instructs him to anoint Hazael as king over Aram, Jehu as king over Israel, and Elisha as prophet in his place. God assures Elijah that he is not alone. There are 7,000 in Israel who have not bowed to Baal. The prophet's journey is not over. His mission continues, but now he walks with renewed purpose and hope. This section of Elijah's story is a meditation on the nature of spiritual struggle and renewal. It teaches us that moments of weakness do not disqualify us from God's service. Rather, they are often the very places where God meets us most intimately. The journey through the wilderness, the honest prayers of despair, the quiet provision of bread and water, the encounter with the divine whisperer, these are part inherit a double portion of your spirit. This is not a plea for personal glory, but a humble acknowledgement of the weight of the task ahead. Elisha recognizes that to fulfill his calling, he will need even greater strength, wisdom, and faith than his master. Elijah's response is both honest and profound. "You have asked a difficult thing. Yet if you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours otherwise. It will not." The implication is clear. The blessing is not automatic. It requires attentiveness, perseverance, and a willingness to witness the mysteries of God's ways, as they walk and talk. Suddenly, a chariot of fire and horses of fire appear and separate the two of them, and Elijah is taken up to heaven in a whirlwind. Elisha sees this and cries out, my father, the chariots and horsemen of Israel." In his grief, he tears his clothes, a sign of deep mourning, but he also picks up Elijah's cloak, the symbol of his new calling. Elisha returns to the Jordan, strikes the water with the cloak, and asks, "Where now is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" When the waters part once again, it is clear to all that the spirit of Elijah now rests upon Elisha. The other prophets recognize this, bowing before him in acknowledgement. This moment is more than a transfer of authority. It is a powerful affirmation that God's work continues, that the story does not end with one person, no matter how great. The legacy of Elijah lives on in Elisha, and through him, in the countless lives that will be touched by his ministry. The story of Elijah and Elisha invites us to reflect on our own lives. Who are the mentors who have shaped us? Who are the ones we are called to invest in, to encourage, to prepare for the journey ahead? The passing of the mantle is not just a biblical event, it is a universal truth, a reminder that each of us is both a recipient and a giver of wisdom, faith, and love. As you ponder these questions, remember the importance of community, of walking together, of sharing the burdens and the joys of the journey. If you have found inspiration in these stories, consider liking and subscribing to the Bible Stories channel. Your engagement helps build a community of seekers, learners, and believers who are committed to discovering the deeper truths that lie beneath the surface. Let us carry forward the spirit of Elijah, just in words, but in action, in the way we live, love, and lead. The journey is not over. The story continues, and each of us has a part to play in the unfolding drama of faith. As we arrive at the final chapter of Elijah's extraordinary journey, the story gently shifts from the whirlwind of miracles and the drama of succession to a place of deep reflection and timeless wisdom. The narrative, now echoing with the footsteps of prophets and the whispers of eternity, invites us to pause, to look back, and to draw meaning from all that has unfolded. This is not merely the end of a prophet's life, but the beginning of a legacy that continues to shape hearts, challenge minds, and inspire faith across